Hello everyone and welcome to Bootleg, and today we have another KO review. But before we get into it, don't forget, if you're new to this channel, to subscribe and hit that little bell icon to have all notifications from the channel. Not only do I do amazing action figure reviews for original figures and for KOs, I also do reviews for model kits, and I talk about other pop culture issues like cosplay, anime, TV shows, gaming, all in this type of nerd culture concept. Don't forget to check the description below because it has more information on the figure itself and on social media where you can follow me. But let's start that intro. So today I'm reviewing the Figma Bakugo from My Hero Academia KO. So this is a bootleg figure, and I've reviewed a previous one from My Hero Academia, and I actually thought this was one of the best bootleg figures that I've ever reviewed. It was actually very surprising, and he was not perfect. There is some looseness to him, especially on the leg part, but overall the paint was very well done, and you could almost not tell that this was a KO except for this little spot here that all of the KOs have, and it actually doesn't seem like it was a defect. It seems like it was done on purpose. I don't know why. I know the original does not have that spot. Now for Bakugo, let's have a first impression of him. Let's see, can you focus? Overall, the first impression is actually very good because most of the paint job is actually really well done. And he is actually even more solid than Midoriya, except for this little part that keeps falling apart. This hair part, you can see there's a problem there in the paint job, probably because it was released from the hair, but this can be easily fixed with some paint and then glued back into the head. It does fit without gluing, but I would say probably if you glue it, it will be better. But again, let's look closely at the details. You can see most of it is actually, again, well done. I have no complaints in terms of the figure itself. The paint job is very close to the original, definitely. If you saw this figure, you may have mistaken that it was the original. Accessories, we only have extra hands, one extra face that actually, let's look at the extra face. I think it's my favorite face. The other one is also well done, but this one I think fits the character a lot more. Of course, we have a Figma stand that this time does not have the Figma logo, and all the joints are very tight, except for this little part here that is a bit loose fitting here. It's not a big problem, but it is something to be aware of. We do have two explosion parts
Yeah, boy.
for him to hold on two hands. And speaking of hands, let's take a look at the hands that he brings. First we have two fist hands, that are the ones that he brings with him, and those two fist hands are actually really well painted. We have two open hands, and one of them unfortunately has some paint defects. There, some white part. I'm going to try to see if I can remove it, but if not, I'll probably paint over it with the close enough green, if possible. But overall, it is okay, except again for that little part there. We have two fist grabby hands, but he has nothing to grab with them. I don't know really why they even give us this. There would be better to have another type of pose hand, but they're well painted, so not complaining too much, but yeah, they're basically useless. And finally we have the grabby hands to grab the effect parts, and one of them has also a paint problem right there. You can see it's like a piece of orange that should not be there in the green, so a bit of paint bleeding. And again, you can have these hands fit with the effect parts. Now, sometimes it's actually hard to understand which hand is for each effect part. I believe this one is for exactly. So you need to see which one has the fitting for the finger, and that's very tight. Maybe it would be a good idea to loosen that up a little bit with some heat so it can fit more properly. Now these effect parts also have some defects. In this case there's a little black spot there, but it's the only one, and I think the other one has the same problem somewhere. But again, it's small details, small defects, not the worst ones that I've seen from a KO. But yeah, you can fit the effect parts there, just again maybe applying some heat so it will be easier and will fit better. Now I'm going to do most of the review without this part because it's always falling off. Now a really cool detail is that these pegs are actually a lot bigger than it's normal. Even Midori, that also has really big hands, really big cartoony hands like these My Hero Academia figures are coming with, has small pegs here. So I'm actually glad they're using bigger pegs because it's just safer, even though I'm disappointed that it doesn't bring an extra one. And this is not classic, definitely not the classic Figma ball hinge, because it's a ball joint to ball hinge, a little bit like they do in the shoulder and other parts. And it works well because the hand can be positioned and adjusted a little bit using the ball joint inside, and then of course articulated with the ball hinge. And of course, just going to put here one of the fists, fits very easily, and here I'm going to put one of the style hands, and again very easy to fit. Exchanging faces again is as easy as always. You just remove the hair part, remove the face, just put it in, and then close it up with the hair part. I'm glad that Figma keeps using the same system because this is a good system, it works, it always has worked with Figma. Another thing that I almost forgot to mention is that this little part here is smaller than that part there. And in the beginning I thought maybe it's a mistake from the KO, but no, I watched reviews of the original one and it's also like this in the original one. I'm not sure if it was like this in the show. If it was, please tell me in the comment section below.
And now comes the interesting part. Let your fingers get in there and have a good old rub-a-dub.
So articulation. Articulation, we have the classic ball hinge to ball joint system in the head. Works pretty well, allows us good range of motion, even though of course this air part limits a little bit. It's a pity that we don't have any neck articulation, but okay, the head gives us already good range. Here we have the classic ball joint to ball hinge system on the arm, and works as intended, giving you great range of motion. Here in the elbow we also have the classic circular hinge system, gives us 90 degrees. It's enough for this character, especially when we have this bulky ass part. But this also has rotation, but it's not easy to rotate. Maybe in the original one it's easy to rotate, but not in this one. Most of the time when I want to adjust the rotation of this part, what I do is I remove this part from the arm itself, and then I can use a little bit of leverage here and rotate around. So you can see this gray part is the one that is articulating, but I'm going to keep it in the same position. But I wouldn't rotate much this because I'm afraid it will damage that joint. Here, as I explained previously, we have the ball joint to ball hinge system, but all of this big part will limit the articulation. Here I'm actually not sure, but I believe we have just a ball joint, not a ball hinge. Gives us some range of motion. This is probably the part that is a little bit more loose compared probably to the original one. Is the only articulation that I feel is a bit too loose, but still works fine. Gives us a crunch, leaning back, some side to side, not too much. Then I believe we have the triple ball hinge system, but there's nothing here to actually, there you go. Here is the articulation of that waist. There you go. And then we have of course our spread. created by both of those ball joints. Not the biggest spread, but good enough. And we have a kick forward and a kick back. Decent ones, work perfectly fine. And we have something new. We have a rotation on this little part here that allows us to rotate. Very tight rotation there. And of course we have our circular hinge in the knee. But it's not over. We still have rotation on the boot. And of course a circular hinge on the foot. Forward and backwards. A pivot and a very tight toe bend. The articulation is actually great. Figma is even giving us more articulation than normal in this figure, and most of it, the KO is okay. Again, the only one that I feel is a bit loose is here, but it's still good enough, so good.
Yeah, boy.
Figma, My Hero Academia, Midoriya, Sentinel, Devil May Cry 5, Dante, SH Figure Arts, Darling in the Franxx, Ichigo, Figma, Persona 5, Panther, Figma, ReZero, Ram. There isn't actually much more to say about this figure. It is actually a decent KO. He has strong articulation with the exception of that midsection joint. The main figure itself is actually well painted with the exception of that little hair part and some accessories that have small paint defects, but I would say most KOs do in some way or another. Considering this figure is not that old, you may be able to get the original one still at a good price, and if you can, get that one. If you cannot, maybe this is not that bad of an option. So Figma Bakugo KO is getting my low budget otaku seal of approval. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to leave a like, watch more videos of the channel. You have links in the description below to entire playlist of amazing content just like this one, and in the end screen of this you will have suggested videos. So any engagement you give this channel will help it grow and give more amazing videos just like this one. Also smash that subscribe button like Deku did.
See you next time.
Do it! Just do it!